What's up, people? I am one of your hosts, Phoenix, and I am your other host, Taiji, and welcome to NTAT.
Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Fire Emblem series, and I am unfamiliar with this franchise whatsoever. I've never played any game, and Phoenix has recently beat Fire Emblem Engage, and I kind of want to interview him this time and see what his points are for why he enjoys this game so much. And we're going to deep dive into this so I can learn a few things and understand the game a little bit better. So if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video.
If you are an OG Fire Emblem fan, we want to hear from you in the comment section, and give Titan some reasons as to why the series is so beloved and why he should or shouldn't give it a try.
Alright Phoenix, Fire Emblem Engage is a game that you have talked about in a previous video. Before it was even released, you knew that you wanted to play this. So my first question for you is, what made this game stand out for you as something you knew you wanted to play?
Admittedly, I'm fairly new to the Fire Emblem series, as Awakening on the 3DS was my first game. But Three Houses for the Switch pushed my like to a full-blown love, so I knew I wanted to play Engage. Three Houses made a very niche series into a household name, and I was hoping that Engage would continue that path.
Alright, so my second question for you is, how would you describe the pace of the gameplay? Did you ever feel like it was too slow, too fast, or just unbalanced?
From what I understand, Engage took a page from previous entries when it comes to combat and how it flows. The way the game is set up, you have a home base that you can talk to NPCs, refresh your gear, and bond with your units. Then you go out into the open world for the story and the side quests and combat scenarios. Where the game differs from Three Houses is once you're done, let's say doing the story mission, you have the choice to go back to the home base or jump right into another combat scenario. Because of this, you shape the game pacing to your own liking. If you want a lot of combat, then you're free to jump from one battle to another. If you want to balance your bonding with units and combat, you can do that as well. So I never felt like it was too much story to the point where I was bored, at least because of pacing. More on that later. And I never felt like I couldn't catch my breath from the excess combat.
So question number 3. How would you say that the character development and the story holds up against similar tactical RPG-like games?
This is where Engage falls flat for me. The story and main protagonist is as cookie cutter as it gets. There's very little in the way of character development with most of the units are characters, as they only have small dialogue options when they improve their ranks with other units. Whoever they were when you met the unit is who they are at the end of the game, most of them anyway. The main protagonist is by far the worst. They are the overly nice killer. Although they have killed hundreds of enemies and have lost countless of loved ones, they will still forgive and even become friends with enemies who've caused the pain, all while sporting a smile. They never grow past this, and it's beyond boring. The saving grace is that you don't have to spend a lot of time with these boring characters because you can jump into a lot of combat scenarios, and that's where the game really shines.
Alright, my fourth question for you. Are there any features from past Fire Emblem games that have improved on in this game that made the gameplay more enjoyable?
Fire Emblem has had this rock, paper, scissors type combat where swords beat axes, axes beat spears, and spears beat swords. Engage adds the Emblem System. Emblems are rings that summon past main protagonists from previous Fire Emblem games as specters to aid you in combat. Before the game came out, I thought this would be a tacked-on feature, but I was completely wrong. After experiencing the system, when you don't have access to it, you feel naked. When pairing a unit with an emblem, it raises their base stats on whatever type of emblem it is, along with some perks and skills that you normally wouldn't have. Lots of times, this can take a poor unit and make them viable, or take a great unit and make them unstoppable. And this is all before you sync the two, almost like a Dragon Ball Z fusion. Then the unit and the emblem become one, and some game-changing abilities like being able to shoot powerful arrows across the entire map and hitting an enemy, or reducing your HP to 1 and healing every unit on the map to full health. There are so many combinations that you can do to create a powerful army, just by adding an emblem to a unit that you like.
Alright, so my fifth question for you is the exact opposite. Are there any features that were present in previous games that was missing in this game that you wish were still there?
Like I said, I don't have a huge personal experience from previous games to pull from, but I have to expand on what I said before about Three Houses. When I said Fire Emblem had become a household name, it was because of how 3 houses handle character development. Also, player choice. When you start the game, as the game suggests, you pick one of 3 houses. Think like having 3 fraternities with a team leader, and all 3 has different teammates. You're the new teacher who gets to lead one of these frat houses. So realistically, you could have at least 3 different playthroughs with drastically different stories and characters. The character development was absolutely amazing. Even though the game is older, I won't spoil much, but as an example of the development I was talking about, I had a character on my team that was very shy and very much a loner. During our adventure, I learned why that character was like that, and I became closer because of the time that I spent with them. They actually came out of their shell because of these interactions. There was another character that offered to kill me during our initial meeting, and I really couldn't stand this person. But by the end of the story, they vowed to protect me no matter what. I felt like they were real people with real-world problems that shaped them as individuals, and I got a chance to learn them and figure out why they were the way that they were and help them overcome those adversities. This is missing from Engage, and it's noticeable. I don't feel like there has to be an either-or situation. I feel like you can have amazing combat along with amazing story and character progression.
All right, so question number 6. What makes the Fire Emblem series so popular with its fans?
There are some great classic characters over the years like Marth and Roy that you may know from the Smash Bros. Series, but ultimately it's a JRPG or CRPG, depending on who you ask, that has gotten the turn-based combat correct. It's fun, it's engaging, and it gives you the feeling that you're a great tactician on the battlefield. The consequences is what the series is really known for on the battlefield. Permadeath is something that is now optional for the last 2 entries, but the threat of losing a beloved unit makes each combat scenario very tense and impactful. Also, in series past, you could have 2 characters that you love, the male or female, and they could actually have a child, and that child at some point could also become one of your units. So if you had one of those scenarios where the father may have died, someone that you really love, you may have a child now that has some of their traits. So it was a really cool back and forth. Games like this with the permadeath and add that to like the Souls genre really gives fans something to grab hold to, because on your adventure, there are real stakes to failure.
Question number 7 for you. Would you recommend Engage to a non-tactical RPG fan such as myself?
Honestly, it depends on what matters to you as a gamer. If you need a good story and good character development, Engage would not be the best game to start with. If you're more of a combat sort of person, and there are plenty of people who just need the story to give them just enough exposition so they know what they're doing and why they're doing it so they can send them off into battle as much as possible. If you're one of these people, I think Engage would be a great starting point. Also, with the fact that there are returning characters from previous games that might entice you to look into older games to dig deeper into their story.
So my final question for you, since you recently beat the game, how many hours did you put into Engage?
I finished the game at 95 hours. I definitely could have put more into it, but around the final 3 chapters, I was genuinely curious as to where the story was going as things were coming to a head. There were some very interesting developments. I don't think that they completely nailed the landing, as there were some eye-rolling moments, but at the end of the day, I really enjoyed the game, and if you are a Fire Emblem or a tactical RPG fan, I would definitely recommend playing through it.
All right, folks, well, that wraps up our Fire Emblem Engage video. So if you enjoy this, again, hit that like button for us and subscribe. And join us every Friday morning. We'll be there.
You be there.